everybody, and welcome to Jenerally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the world of pop culture and personal development. I am your host, Jennifer Snook. I'm so happy to be here today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been going on in mine. Let's catch up. So, I'm still licking my wounds from the Super Bowl. It's true. I mean, what a game that was, you guys. I mean, the Chiefs came out on top, obviously, and good for them. But my Niners played a hell of a game, and it was so close the entire time. I mean, what a game, really. It's so rare that you get a Super Bowl that gives you such a good game. And that was just a nail biter up until the very end. I just loved it. I felt so bad for my boys, but I mean, it's not like we didn't show up. So, I mean, you gotta give it to them. You gotta give it to both teams. I thought the halftime show was magnificent. I thought Usher was incredible, which does not surprise me. I've seen Usher twice, maybe 3 times, definitely twice. And he's amazing. I mean, Usher just puts on a show that, I mean, you just can't beat it. I mean, he's electric. I mean, from start to finish, he gives it all each time. I mean, I just thought he was amazing. I thought he was amazing. I thought everyone that he brought out was amazing. I thought Alicia Keys was just fire, just absolute fire. That red dress that they had, just fanning out behind her. I mean, wasn't that just so breathtaking? I mean, honestly, that was just amazing. And then there was all that backlash for his performance with Alicia Keys, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. And P.S., I'm so glad that Swiss Beats came out and talked about how ridiculous it was. Swiss Beats said, and I quote, "Y'all are focusing on the wrong thing. Tonight's performance was nothing but amazing with 2 amazing giants. Congrats, Usher, and my love, Alicia Keys. That song is a classic. We don't do negative vibes on this side. We make history." And that is what I'm talking about. All that low-grade talk about, oh my God, their performance, and that's another man's wife. What is wrong with you people? They are professionals. These are performers at the top of their game. That's like asking De Niro and Meryl Streep to be in a love story and not kiss because they have significant others. I mean, what are you talking about? That is their job. That is what they do. It's called a performance for a reason. I mean, don't be silly. And then there was the Travis and Taylor of it all. And that was, I mean, I got to admit, there's a real fairy tale quality to all of it. And I cannot imagine the album that's going to come out next and be all about this. I mean, it's amazing. And I really feel like it's a genuine love. This is an authentic, real love story here. This is not, this is not staged. This is not contrived in any way. This is just 2 people that I think found each other at the right times in their lives. And I think it's beautiful to witness. And I think everyone should stop being so cynical and just start embracing the fact that sometimes wonderful things happen, you guys. And this is one of them. I think we're all so programmed to be so cynical at this point in life. And I think that's a bummer. I think now more than ever, we need to lean into the wonderful parts of life, lean into, the romance, lean into the sweetness, lean into the softness of life, because life lately has felt hard and sad, and there's space for all of those feelings. We come across all of them, but we can't forget the ones that make us feel good and or feel like we're not meeting the seriousness of the moment if we focus on good, wonderful things, because it's important to keep our own spirits buoyed, right? Especially in times that are heavy and and really weighted down by circumstance. And it's important to keep yourself tethered and buoyed to the wonderful parts of life, because that's our job. It's our job. Horrible things are going to keep happening in the world, but we can't let it weigh us down, because then it affects our health. It affects our spiritual health. It affects our mental health. It affects our all of the healths. And we have to be our own greatest advocate. So while we can meet the seriousness of a moment, that doesn't mean that we have to abandon the beautiful parts of life. So remember that. And when you see Travis and Taylor in their beautiful, authentic, true love, it's okay to celebrate that. It's okay to say good for them. It's okay to, it's okay to be into it. And then let's see what else is happening. Oh, my Albie is finally fully vaxxed, you guys. Now he is going on big boy walks, and it is so cute. He really thinks he's the shit now. He is just prancing along, and it is so cute to watch. He is just a little bundle of joy, this guy, I tell you. Okay, here's what else is back. Curb Your Fucking Enthusiasm, and I am so excited about it. And I think this Sunday I'm going to have 3 episodes to watch. I have not watched any yet. I've just been letting them accumulate because I just could not bear the thought of sitting down to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm and only having 1 episode. It's just too painful for me. I love that show too much. I mean, it is my joy, that show. And I am so excited that I have this season, and they're saying this is the last, and I pray to God it's not. I mean, they've said it before. I mean, it might be. So, just like with anything in life, just you have to be there in this moment. So now I'm going to appreciate every single episode like this is the last season, and just take it in that way. I mean, I love that show so much that even when I watch an old episode, I'm just so present for it because it's just so brilliant. It's such incredible writing, and I am just on pins and needles to dive back in. So let's see. That's what's going on that's what's been going on in my world this week. Let's move on to what's been going on in the world of reality. So I got to tell you guys, this is a little bit of a crossover between my life and the world of reality. But a few weeks ago, I went to look for Louie on Instagram, I think, and I couldn't find him, and so I thought that maybe I just assumed that he was taking like a social media hiatus, which did seem completely out of character for me, but I thought maybe he was trying to surprise us. And so that's what I assumed. And I think I even maybe mentioned it in a previous pod that Louie's currently off social media. I know that I was thinking about it. I don't know if it actually came out of my mouth. But I went about my life assuming that he was still on this hiatus. And then I was reading an article, and it said that Louie posted something on his story Tuesday morning, and I was thinking to myself, Louie posted something to his story on Tuesday morning. That's strange, because I thought that his story was obviously gone, because I thought his page was gone. So I was talking to my daughter, and I'm like, hey, do me a favor, check this guy's page. And so she did, and she's like, no, it's here. And I said, are you kidding me? And so anyway, lo and behold, you guys, Louie has blocked me. So, which I just found absolutely hilarious. I mean, how can you not laugh at that? Louie blocked me. I'm so not surprised. I mean, I'm just so not surprised. That's such a Louie thing to do. But anyway, in the world of reality, speaking of Louie, and the whole reason I was reading about him is because Ding-a-ling is up to his old tricks again. Well, this is kind of an old trick that is coming to light again because there's new evidence. Louie and his good old buddy Bo Deitl and his attorney and a group of their attorneys are being sued by another group of attorneys for hacking into their computers to get evidence to try and paint Vanessa. I don't know if you remember me talking about Vanessa on TikTok, but Vanessa is actually a really smart gal. She is highly educated. She is a therapist, a mental health therapist, and she also happens to be Louie's ex-fiance. So Vanessa, and this was proven last year, had a woman come into her private practice, and this woman was basically infiltrating Vanessa's practice, trying to get information on her. So this woman turned out to be a private investigator that was hired by Louie and Bo Deitl and the attorney. She was sent in by them to come in, pose as a patient, to try and dig up dirt on Vanessa. So now Vanessa's attorneys have found out that they were hacking into their computers to get this dirt, and they've now brought charges against them. So, the fact of the matter is that no group of attorneys is going to bring a frivolous lawsuit against someone and falsely accuse them of something. So the fact that Bo Deitl and Louie are saying that there is unsubstantiated is just them trying to cover their own ass, because no group of attorneys is gonna say that something happened when it just bald-faced didn't. I mean, Vanessa, that's not Vanessa's style. She's not here for that. This thing was done and over, but now there's clearly evidence. And the funny thing is, this suit isn't even being brought by Vanessa. It's being brought by these attorneys. So we will see what happens there, but it just looks like everything that we knew that Louie was doing has now just come to light. And he really is the shady, slimy little car salesman that everyone knows that he truly is. So, but he talks a good game, doesn't he? And that's why he can pull the wool over so many people's eyes. But you gotta look past the shine. Check out, you know what you need to do? Check out his when I thought that I couldn't find his personal page, which I couldn't because I was blocked, I went and found his other page, which is Men of Legacy. And that is what you guys need to listen to. Go and listen to Men of Legacy. It is such an absolute joke. It is basically Louie espousing and preaching about leadership and how to be a real man and, how to show up in the world. But really, truthfully, it's just him giving himself a platform to talk about himself, to highlight, everything that he wants to bring forth about himself and highlight his supposed success. I mean, in it, he literally sets up scenarios where people come up to him and ask him, "Hey, buddy, how'd you get that car?" And he goes, "Oh, well, my company did 400 million. And it's so fake and it's so staged and it is just so Louie. You have to check it out. It's unbelievable. Let's see what else is happening in the world of reality. We found out that Kandi is leaving Real Housewives of Atlanta last week, but you guys, thank God we got the news that we got this week that Portia is returning. So while I was so sad to say goodbye to Kandi, and I really was, I am so glad to have my girl Portia back. I love Portia. I think she brings such an incredible energy to the show. Even when she wasn't bringing her best, she was still bringing it. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I love Kandi, I feel like she, in the last couple years, has kind of not been too invested. But Kandi, Portia is there for it. She always brings it every single time. So I am so excited that we got that news this week. And then this week we also found out that Larsa and Marcus split up And that was big news, especially since the Traitors reunion is about to happen. But since they broke up, and just literally this morning when I woke up, I read that they started following each other on Instagram again. So that breakup may already be old news. They could, already be back to, sucking face nonstop. Okay, what else did we have this week? On Two Teas in a Pod, Tamra and Teddy had Monica Garcia on, which I just absolutely loved. I thought they gave Monica a great platform to clear some stuff up, to dive into the questions that they knew that everybody had. And they expressed their, what they were wishy-washy about with the whole Monica situation. And I thought Monica did a really good job of clearing things up and kind of setting the timeline straight and just creating some clarity around all of it, around the security system, around the timelines, around the fact that she says that so many of them knew long before we got the old timelines, receipts, the big speech by Heather. It seems that there was a lot more knowledge about Monica's involvement with Reality Von Tease. They knew about it far more than they actually let on, and that was a lot of it was just dramatic. So I was really glad that they gave Monica that space to do that. I really hope that Monica's just on a pause. I mean, truthfully, for all we know, they could have Monica back before they're even finished filming this season. Which, if they were smart, I think that's what they would do, because, it's funny, you hear Lisa Barlow out there talking about how this season is already the best season, but, I mean, I just don't see in any way, shape, or form how we're going to go back to life pre-Monica and it could, in any way, shape, or form, stand up to last season. I don't see how it happens. I don't know, they just all feel so boring to me, and now I feel just so duped by Heather and that whole bullshit, and her hypocrisy is so rich, and she just seems so short-sighted, and I don't know. I'm just I lost a lot of respect for that for Heather and the way that whole black eye went down. So, that's where I'm at. We found out that Winter House has been canceled, which thankfully for me means less of Danielle, because she is more than I can take. I'm looking forward to hearing what, Danielle was hooking up with that silly little dingling Joe Bradley from Southern Hospitality, which I have to say I've started watching recently, and I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of into that show. I am. Like, I'm looking forward to the next one, and I've tried to get into it a couple times in the previous season, but this season, I don't know, it's bringing something that the other one didn't for me, and I'm into it. But Joe Bradley, who was dating Danielle, we find out, I guess, at the reunion what really went down between him and the Countess when they were at Watch What Happens Live. And that is exciting because, truthfully, I just love anything that gets Danielle's goat. And I know that's horrible, but it's still true. All right, it's time for us to take a quick break, but stay tuned, because when we come back, it's time for Reality Check. We are back, and it is time for our weekly reality check. So on Vanderpump Rules this week, Tom Sandoval is back, and it's his birthday. And all he wants to do is have a few friends over, well, a few B-list friends over, and hear from Rachel, or Raquel, as Billy called her. But firstly, allowing Tom to have some friends over was just such a huge thing for Arianna. I mean, her first gut reaction was, if I hear any noise, I'm calling the cops. Sounds reasonable. Sounds like a very healthy way to live. Anyway, after some negotiations, she allowed Tom to have a couple friends over. So he did get to have that part of the wish. But Rachel did not call. He did not hear from his girl, and that left poor Tom crying in his cake, while the rest of his friends, his original friends, went to emo night to, express their inner angst, which, quite frankly, seems to be just oozing out of everyone on the show right now. Everyone is full of angst and rage and resentment and righteousness, and it is a lot. You've got Tom Sandoval over on Isolation Island. You've got the morality police on the mainland. And then you've got poor Tom Schwartz in the middle trying to be the bridge. And then I got to say this about Tom Schwartz. I feel like he's finally starting to grow up and speak up and stand up for what he believes in. And the fact that he's able to hold space for two things and doesn't need to choose sides, I think really shows his maturity. Because Tom Schwartz knows that choosing sides is just parochial and ridiculous. Schwartz expressed his upset to Sandoval. It's not like he's not expressing it because he's afraid of Tom's reaction. He was very clear with Tom about how he felt. And Tom heard him. I mean, Tom Sandoval is not Satan. I know everyone likes to paint him that way, but he's just not. Although you wouldn't believe that if you were listening to Arianna or any of her friends. She's basically standing there so proudly on her moral superior high ground and looking down her nose at anyone who carries even any basic compassion for his humanity. I mean, it's sad. Then Tom Schwartz invites the whole gang up to Tahoe in an effort to be that bridge once again. And when he does, Arianna goes and just gets mean and vicious and says to Tom Schwartz, "Listen, I gave up on you a long time ago and my life is better for it. You're a lost cause." I mean, excuse me? He's a lost cause? What, because he's not completely turning his back on someone? I mean, it is so insane to me the way it's like one or the other. Like there's no gray area. It's just black or white. I mean, what a bunch of bullshit. I mean, just in life in general, but especially given that this kind of an attitude is coming from these people. I mean, it's as rich and hypocritical as it gets. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I gotta say, I'm really proud of Tom because I really think that he stood up to her in that group dynamic where it is like the herd mentality. And of course, she was the wounded victim, so everyone just goes to her. But, the fact that he came back at her and said, "Listen, I think your ego's getting a little out of control. You're not the queen of the group." I mean, I thought that was great. And her face was priceless. It was like a mix between the hell I'm not the queen of the group and I can't believe he just said that. I mean, sorry, but he says that she's confusing strength and boundaries with ego, which actually that's what she said. She said, "I think Schwartz is clearly confusing strength and boundaries with ego." But come on now. I mean, that's just, again, so rich and hilarious coming from the girl who is basically just living out an exaggerated version of the life that she lived before. I mean, we're going to talk about boundaries when Tom has presented you with a letter of intent to buy you out of the home, but you're choosing to stay in there. Excuse me. He is giving you an opportunity for a clean break. Here you go. Here's a bunch of money for the house. I'm sorry, do your thing. He's not trying to make her life harder, but guess what? She is. She's choosing to stay there and then hammer everybody else about boundaries. Meanwhile, she's basically still in bed with him. I mean, because she's creating a situation by choosing to stay in that house that's just untenable. I mean, you could continue in it, but you can't then go and tell your friends, "Oh my God, no, don't you dare invite us to the same place," when every single day you're choosing to come back to the same home that you shared with the man that you say that you hate so much. I mean, it's just, you just can't do that. And also, here's the other huge fact. She acts like she's been so brutalized and hurt. And I know that this has been brutal and painful for her. But you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You just can't do it. That's like some 2+2 shit. You cannot do that. And also, you don't get to dictate who talks to Tom. Because before it was your circle, it was his circle. And that's true. And the fact of the matter is Tom Sandoval, he's not Satan. He's full of pain and hurt and shame and remorse. And if you listen to those hypocrites, you'd act like he was living on, like he'd been managing Epstein's Island or something. I mean, he's not. He's a guy that was in a dead-end relationship for a really long time. They both were. And they both should have bailed out long before that affair went down. But they didn't. But because Tom's the one that, got out of it the wrong way, he's the one that's getting blamed. And Arianna keeps saying that he deserves this and he deserves that because he's the one that broke up the home. But the truth is that it was broken long before the affair happened with Raquel. It was. And then what about the fact that Arianna said that her new boyfriend is the first person that she can see building a future family with? But I'm just thinking to myself, okay, sorry, but if that's true, and you just said that, then explain to me why you weren't walking out a long time ago when you knew full well that Tom Sandoval wanted a family in his future. You knew that. And if you couldn't see that with him, why did you stay? Why were you staying in the dead-end relationship? I mean, these people hadn't been intimate in years. I mean, she talked to him constantly like he was a moron. I mean, it was just so obvious that they were in a cycle of just extreme dysfunction. We could all see it. I mean, you just can't deny it. So I think we have to, realize that they were sick, both of them, and stuck. Both of them playing roles that they had long outgrown. So I think we need to lose the outrage and just trust that everything unfolded the way it was supposed to. That the universe stepped in because neither one of them had the balls to step up and honor their own truth. That they were both only still in it because they just didn't know how to get out of it. I mean, I've seen Tom Sandoval sob from the pits of his soul numerous times. And you can't fake that shit. When you saw him talking about suicide to Lisa, you saw how real that pain was on his face. He is not faking the funk. Tom Sandoval has been struggling through this whole thing too. He's not some type of mastermind, some type of puppeteer that was just trying to fuck with Arianna. Sorry, that's just not who he is. Okay, we are now moving over to Beverly Hills. Okay, so the show starts out with Erika seeing her shrink, talking about the pressure that she now feels, about how she's excited that she has this new bet-it-all-on blonde residency, but how now she's feeling such an extreme amount of pressure, right? Because before she had Tom as a financial safety net and support, but now she's having to face all of these pressures, performance pressures, and the financial, responsibility that comes with that all on her own. And I get that must feel like a very different situation than because a safety net does allow you a lot of flexibility that you don't otherwise have. So she talks about how she's still dealing with a lot of unresolved pain that she felt throughout the last year with the ladies not being there emotionally for her, not supporting her when she was going through all of that stuff with Tom. And now she's not sure how to deal with those feelings. And you can kind of see it because you can really see Erika's growth, her own personal development. And it has been so impressive. And you can see even the way her thinking is changing and how it's growing, and how she is approaching the whole concept of closure with these women. You know what I mean? Because so oftentimes we get stuck in a relationship because we're not getting back something that we expect to get back from them. But we have to always come back to the truth of the matter is that we're not always going to get that, and our lives can't keep getting put on pause while we wait for the reaction that we want. And so Erika is learning to live her life independent of other people's approval or apologies or whatever reaction she's hoping for. Like that's where you need to get in life. You need to get to the point where, oh, that would be nice if that happened, but I'm not going to attach myself or the way I feel about them to the outcome of that. Because, I mean, then you're just constantly a slave to other people's behavior. And if you want to, chart your own course, then you can't. You have to blaze your own trail regardless of how other people react. And so that's where Erika's at. And I think that's a really healthy place for it to be. Because the truth is, if you want to find your peace, you need to ground yourself in gratitude, which I really think that she's done. You need to speak from your heart. You need to, and she's done that too. You need to expect nothing in return, and you need to keep it moving. And that's just a fact. And anything that you get that's more than that is just a bonus. Then Sutton saddles up for a ride on Santos, that beautiful new horse of hers. I gotta tell you, that horse, I mean, is just dreamy. Truth is, I actually used to have a pony named Poncho. I don't know. I may have told this story before, but yeah, I did. I used to have a pony named Poncho. I mean, and when I say it was similar, I mean, just in the fact that it was a black and white. I'm sure my little hiddly diddly pony was, nothing like her award-winning horse that she has, but I'm just saying that it had the same look. So then Kyle shows up to the what do you call that place where you at the stables. Kyle shows up to the stables, and they sit down after she rides Santos to show everybody that she knows how to ride. They sit down and they start talking about the sacrifices that they both made in their respective marriages. And Kyle once again kind of explains how her and Mo have grown in different directions, and exactly what has kind of landed them where they are today. And it's telling, and Kyle is really kind of unfolding, and we are really starting to see, what was behind the big split. Then Garcelle and her adorable boys, aren't her boys just precious? I think they're so cute, and they're just so uniquely different, but so you can see they're just such brothers, but so unique in their own right. And so, I mean, just adorable. God, they're just cute kids with great energy. Anyway, they team up for a campaign called Cyber Smile, which highlights the dangers of being cyberbullied, and that clearly seemed like a good fit given all the online bullshit that her boys got at the hand of those bots last year. Then she sits down with Jax, the one that was looking for more independence. And Garcelle co-signs his efforts and says that she's going to give him a bit more of the freedom that he's been looking for. And that was great. And he's 15 and now going to be able to go out and, do all the shit that 15-year-olds like to do. So good for him. Then Sutton goes to the Surly Goat with Steve. And I've just got to say, I was really glad to see Sutton go there because I personally love the Surly Goat, and I think that it is a great place for a first date. And I was just glad to see her agree to be in like an easy environment like that, because it really is a fun place. And when she pulled that Ocean Spray pink grapefruit out of her purse and said, "This is what I do, it's probably illegal." I mean, she was funny. I mean, I feel like Sutton, since that release party, I feel like that was really a turning point for her. I really feel like that wasn't just words. I really feel like, she is just kind of leveling up and just growing up. And then Steve was cute. He tells her, he says, "You're like Burger King, have it your way." Then he goes on and looks at her purse, says, "I like your purse." I mean, clearly this guy does not know anything about purses, because she says, "Oh, thanks, it's Celine." And he says, "Oh, I didn't know Celine Dion made purses." She shoots him an awkward look, and then they go and play darts. And Sutton seems totally into it. She really does. And so does he. And they are genuinely having a good time. So, I mean, I'm here for it. Steve and Sutton sitting in a tree. Then Kyle and Mauricio sit down over a drink and a non-alcoholic beer to talk about the current state of their marriage. They both express the fact that they're super grateful for their therapist and they really think that they're making some progress. But then Kyle goes on to say that she's getting to the point where she doesn't feel heard by Mauricio unless the therapist is there. And she said that that's really creating some friction in her communication with him. And then Kyle goes on and she said something that I thought really spoke volumes. She said, she looked right into the camera and said, "I'm not going to stay in a situation that I'm not happy in. The things that I wouldn't want my daughters to accept, I'm not going to accept for myself." And I just thought that was so telling, because when you reach that point, you know that you are ready to pivot. And it is clear that that's where Kyle is. Then everybody gets ready for Anne-Marie's Mother's Day Champagne and Diamonds brunch, which, God, it was beautiful. While Dorit was getting all dolled up, PK calls her and tells her that he's definitely not going to be home for Mother's Day for a couple reasons. One, because he's working, and two, because she's not his mother. Yes, you heard that correct. Then the party pops off with a gorgeous spread. I mean, honestly, Anne-Marie really did it right for that champagnes and, for that diamonds and champagne little afternoon brunch that she had. The funny thing was Sutton shows up with a roadie because, that's how Sutton rolls. After it took her 10 minutes to roll up the front entry stairs. Did you guys see that? I mean, for the love of God, that poor woman, she needs a handrail everywhere she goes, I feel like. Anne-Marie and Crystal step aside to finally completely clear the air and fucking knock the rest of Esophagate off a bridge. I mean, if I ever hear that again. Sutton tells the girls all about her date with Steve, and then Kyle gets the award for the best blowjob giver. And, and good for her. I mean, somebody's got to get it. Then Erika wades into what's been weighing on her heart. And this is going back to her at the beginning of the show talking to the therapist about whether or not she even thought that she should bring it up. But that's the thing. You can bring stuff up. But you can't bring stuff up with preconceived expectations of what you're going to get back. So Erika, it's like you put it on the table and that's all you can do. And then you go about your business. But this was Erika putting it out on the table. And I thought what she got back was really beautiful. And I think that she received it in a really beautiful way. And you could once again really see Erika's growth. And now hopefully her and Sutton can finally put their beef behind them. Okay, it's time for a quick break, but stay tuned because when we come back, it's time for questions and answer. And hello, caller. We are back and it is time for questions and answers, but today we are only doing one because we have to get to hello, caller. So today we have an email from Jessica Brantley from Surprise, I love saying that, from Surprise, Arizona, who asked what I thought about Joe Bradley showing the text messages to Maddie on Southern Hospitality. And it's so funny. I could only answer this question today. I literally could not have answered this a few days ago because I wasn't caught up on Southern Hospitality. But I am now officially caught up. And not only am I caught up, but like I said earlier, I am an official fan now. And as a fan, I can say that I think that what Joe Bradley did was complete bullshit. I think that he does play both sides of the coin because he is just so desperate for other people's approval. So he'll take it wherever he can get it. He's not even loyal to himself because he'll sell himself out and his own integrity to get that approval, because he's just like he's just like a gaping wound, and he's looking anyone that'll give him a little bump, a little pat on the back, a little, high five, hey, you're a good guy, Joe. Anyone that gives him that feeling, he'll like sell a bit of his soul to, which is just sad because, if you're always trying to, get your approval from other people, then you can never really be true to yourself. And if you're not true to yourself, you won't be true to other people. You can't be a good friend that way. You can't be a good boyfriend that way. You can't be good to yourself that way. Joe Bradley needs to start loving himself and stop looking externally for something that he can only find internally. Which actually, though, is funny. It sounds exactly the same way that I described Danielle. I don't know, is that his girl? I don't know if that's his girl, but it makes sense that the two of them hooked up and had such an instant connection the way they did, because they are cut from that same cloth. So I'm sure they were swaddling each other's wounds and making each other really feel good for a while until that wasn't enough. Joe Bradley needs to stop worrying about other people's approval and start worrying about the way he feels about himself. Okay, you guys, now it is time for Hello Caller, and I am excited because we are calling Christy and we are talking Vanderpump Rules today, and I am excited. So let's get this girl on the phone. Where is she?
Hi.
Hello, caller.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. You're hilarious. How are you, my girl?
I'm good.
I'm good.
How's
the hand?
The hand is healing. Carpal tunnel.
I'm so happy to hear it. Christy had carpal tunnel surgery, everybody, and she is finally coming through it. But you have had Bravo to keep you company, and I feel like we really need to catch up on Vanderpump Rules.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the show starts off with Tom back and wanting to have a birthday party. And then what?
This when James is leaving, saying you are not taking any accountability for the worst.
This is that, but let's talk about even before James got there and wanted his big apology about how Arianna tried to do the big smackdown.
Oh, yeah.
And how
right.
you can't have anyone over at the house. And I mean, I just thought that was ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. I think it's okay because what he did to her, and she hates him, so she doesn't want him.
Then if she hates him so much, why doesn't she try moving the fuck out of that house?
Right.
Sorry, if we're really so concerned about our own mental health, then why don't we move out of that house? Why are we... That's like living in a lion's cage and expecting there not to be some type of chaos. If you are going to keep yourself... She's basically still in the same bed with him.
Right.
And did you see when Lala asked her, so... he gave her a letter of intent to buy the house. It's not like he's trying to just kick her out. He's trying to give her fair market value for it. So why don't you just take your fair share and go if you're so fucking miserable? And you think he's such a piece of shit that you don't want your friends to ever talk to him again. Why are you still under the same roof?
Maybe she doesn't want it, she doesn't want him to win with the house. So, maybe that.
So, to me, that just sounds like, yeah, but isn't that just complete and utter sickness? If someone's ego is so invested, or do you care about your wellness and moving on and healing, or is your ego so still involved that you want to stay in the sandbox and fight about it?
That's what I feel, right? She doesn't want him to win the house, so.
I mean, right. So you don't want someone to win more than you care about your own sanity and creating a fresh future for yourself. Sounds like it runs in complete contrast with what she says that she wants for herself.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see how it ends. I know they're still living together as of today, so
they're still living together.
And
the poor girl, Anna, is that her name?
Yeah, poor
Anna.
She's their middle person.
I'm just curious how much sorrier they want this guy to be. I don't know. I feel like I've watched him cry from like the pits of his soul. Like clearly he fucked up. But people do that. It's like part of being a human. And if this was the big fucking fuck up in his life that was going to crack him open and make him meet himself, then shit happens for a reason. But I just cannot take how like Sheena, this has affected Sheena so much. Like,
oh, Sheena, I mean, he unfollowed Summer Moon. Give me a break.
I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get that. I feel like they just love like wallowing in sadness. I mean, is that what the whole emo night was about? I mean, like, even I had to appreciate Lala, and she's like, I don't even know what emo music is, and I'm thinking, neither fucking do I. I don't even know that. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, if I'm fucking like, I'd rather
let's see goodness.
Like,
and what can we do to make this better?
I do think that it is part of personal development, though. Like, even if you look back to the shit, like you look back to the shit you used to listen to, like Toni Braxton, like Unbreak My Heart. How can I live without you? I want to know. How can I live without you? I can live without anybody just fucking fine. Thank you very much. At this point in my life, I don't need anyone to define me, how I live my life. I don't need it. So now I'm like, don't fucking worry, be happy.
Yeah, they don't know. They're learning.
They're learning.
This is their journey, and this is what they're learning. So, because when let's fast forward to when they were all at See You Next Tuesday, and then Schwartz shows up, and Arianna's telling him, you will not bring Tom back into this group.
Into this group that was his before it was hers.
But everyone is on her side pretty much. Of course, Katie, rides on her back every day.
Everyone is on her side just because I think they're so afraid of embracing the bad guy for how it's going to look to them, instead of realizing that he did something bad. But Tom Sandoval is not Satan. He's a dude that was in a dead-end relationship that just didn't have the guts to get out of it the right way.
Right.
Well, and sorry, quite frankly, I could say the same thing for Arianna. She knows it. I heard her say on this last episode that when Lala asked her about the new boyfriend, she says this is the first time that she can see maybe building a future family with someone. Sorry, but if that's really the case, then she should have been out of that relationship with Tom a long fucking time ago. She should have had the guts to call it, because she knew that he wanted a family. They both knew that relationship was over a long time ago. I think they just didn't know how to get out of it. Either one of them.
Yeah, true. And I think, Lala's reaching out, doing things against Arianna, as in she reached out to Raquel.
Right. Well, I think she's a little bit more on the other side of a situation like this. And you can gain a lot of perspective once you've already gone through it.
Right. Yeah. And
Sheena's so lost in the sauce that she's almost not even worth talking about.
Wearing the sunglasses in the restaurant, and while she's talking with Tom Sandoval in the back with her sunglasses on, is just ridiculous. And he knows how to get to her, because he's complimenting her fashion.
Because she's that much of a, she's just so easy.
She's so easy is right.
It's unbelievable. But the fact that she was ever even felt so enmeshed, that she allowed her life's definition to become so enmeshed in somebody else's drama that she had to go to, you know what I mean, get all this help, and now she's, labeling
sober. Now she's sober.
You know what she needs to where she needs to get sober? In her spirit. She needs to stop being under the influence of other people's opinions and what she thinks is cool and what this person is going to think of her. She needs to get her spirit sober. And then maybe she won't be such a slave and out here flitting around and so affected by everybody else's drama.
Exactly. Watch out, James Kennedy. We got a new DJ in town.
Watch out, Sheena. Exactly. She's on. She is nipping at his heels. I'm going to be really curious to see what goes down in Tahoe. We also found out that Graham Cracker has a new name.
Oh, Hippie.
Hippity diddity, I don't know, it sounds like hiddly diddly to me. That's what I go around here. Hiddly diddly. That's one of my go-to lines around here. I'm not even political at this point, but every time they say Joe Biden, I say hiddly diddly. When they say Donald Trump, I say other shit, but when Joe Biden comes on, my code word for Joe Biden is hiddly diddly. That's how I know him. Hiddly diddly. On that note, it's been real. It always is. I can't wait to talk to you again.
Same. Happy weekend. Happy Vanderpump.
I love you. Happy healing. Love you. Well, that about does it for this episode of Jenerally Speaking. A big shout out to my girl Christy. Thanks, Chris. And before I go, I want to leave you guys with this as your centering thought. As you walk into the weekend, remember this. Take this with you. When you know what you know, it doesn't matter what they think. And that's true, right? When you know in your heart your truth, then it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. And that is so important to stay tethered to, because that is how you really get to know yourself. That is how you really dial down on who you are. When you stop living your life for other people and start living your life so that you can be in alignment with your truth. So when you know what you know, it doesn't matter what they think. Remember that. And remember to give us a 5-star rating. We would love that. That is huge for us. If you want to follow me, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Jenerally Speaking and on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. All right, you guys, give us a like, give us a follow. We love you. Thank you for being here. And until we are together again, stay rooted in love. See you guys. Have a great week.